sharing those games. Let's be rich with peace and love, adding compassion from above. Never fuss.
Hey, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Yes, thank you, Dante.
Thanksgiving to you.
Thank you, Dante. He's always there. We'll talk to you in a minute. Hey, babies.
All
Who
right.
we got? Look, hail to the queen.
Woo!
Hail to the queen.
She's back.
Girl, look at you. Oh,
They let
beautiful.
me go. Master let me go.
You're so
Only
bright
the
and bushy
weekend.
tailed. Girl, you're looking so bright and bushy tailed and windy and all in the air and let that sunshine hit you, girl.
Woo! It feels good out
Woo.
here. Even though it's a little chilly, it feels really good out here. I'm sitting near home. Well, the
Okay.
other home. And I'm like, I just need to be outside. So I'm like, I gotta go. So y'all saw me taking off. Like, you ever feel like you just want to jump in the car and go like goodbye everybody? Like,
Yeah.
I packed my bags like I was going somewhere. And it's just a mental thing. I'm like, I'm so tired of being in here. And I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, well, the COVID man got people like feeling like I got to get out no matter what. I just at least got to get out.
We feel like we got to be in, but we really don't have to be in. It's better.
Yeah, just as long as you're safe. As long as you're safe.
Yeah.
But a good
Yeah.
place to be, Charlene, all you need is a microphone so you can start asking people and interviewing people as they walk by. You know how you do. How are you?
Girl, and I got a mic. Listen, I got the mic and stuff ready. So you know what? I could do that. I really could.
Oh yeah, you know how you're a Miss Media entrepreneur anyway. You know how you do. But look, we got so excited. We want to tell everybody happy Saturday.
Yes.
Happy
Yes.
Saturday. Happy sunshiny Saturday. It's so pretty. And guess what? Happy holidays. It's here, guys.
It's here.
It's here. The holidays are here.
Yes.
So we'll be singing happy holidays from this point on. And we're just so happy to have our girl here with us today. It's just a sunshiny day, and she's here, and we're glad to have you. We're
the sunshine
you brought the sunshine. We're so elated to have you, girl. And you know what? We got to have a whole show later just to catch up on what you have been doing. But just give us a snippet anyway, girl. What's happening in your world, girl? What's going on? Just a little bit.
Well, you know what? Stacey Abrams really did win, a seat in the White House. As you see how God has really favored her, and in the background, just being able to help her. Just the little things. We think that, we're insignificant by us volunteering for some of these campaigns. But let me tell you something. We are not insignificant. And people need you to believe in them. And just like, we believe in Peggy and Sister for Sisters Network. And we're here for her. We create the things that she wants us to do. Just that little bit of help helps keep people moving their vision.
Yeah.
I just want to shout out Stacey Abrams. So that was behind the scenes of stuff that was happening. And now you see what's happening. Her God is like putting her in the forefront. And look, like I'm not going to move to Georgia. Like at first I was going to move to Georgia. I was like, because I love her to death. But, and then, we got Biden and we have Kamala Harris. I mean, I wasn't working on that, but, all the good things that are happening. But I have been working on some political things to help us really reconcile with our racial differences. Like, it's a serious thing to me. So just in the background, been with GW and a couple of other people working on a dissertation concerning, what happens when we are racially divided. It's a huge conversation. So I just and it saddens me. But the happy things is, like yesterday, I did a whole almost 12-hour show because I missed out my friends. I'm like, well, I got to be on there with my sisters today because if I could do 12 hours, I could do at least 1 hour with them. So I was like, oh my God, I hope Peggy and them not watch me. And me and Peggy talk, the other day, and I was like, I forgot to tell her, like, I'm off this whole weekend, and like I need to like be on or something. So everything works out fine. But that's what I've been
Yes.
doing in my neck of the woods. Like, I'm doing my part. Like, it may seem insignificant. Volunteering is not insignificant. Like, every little
No.
bit helps. It really,
Yes.
really does.
Right.
Well,
That's so
Charlene, you
true.
never know where volunteerism will take you.
That's
You know,
true.
where it would land you, and you work hard. And when you work hard and you do your best to show up and do what you need to do to help others, and particularly about this political and the community at the same time, you never know what's there lying ahead for you or anyone. So whatever God has for us, it's already ready. It's already planned. It's
Yes.
there. It's already in the bag, baby. He got us, and he's taking care of us, and he's shown and proven it to us over and over and over and over again. So all you have to do is walk in your faith, walk in your truth,
That's right.
Well, you
and
know
it's going to
why
come.
you said it so wisely, because this is one of the main things I try to tell these young people. Volunteer, get in, put your foot in the door. You are connected with so many people in
Yeah,
that circle. That is unbelievable, and you're ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people feel, oh, why should I volunteer? It's a madness behind all of that. Okay.
absolutely.
They
And you
see
never
what you
know
will do
who's
for
watching,
free.
and do it for free. And you never know who's watching you.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I applaud you, applaud all of us. We are here on Four Sisters Live. You all know, like
But
and
we're
share our
volunteering
page.
too, right?
We're volunteering, baby. Hello, but God is watching over us, and He's got it in the bag for us, guys. I already know it's there. I already know it's coming. We have to believe it and receive that it is on its way, and it is, because we're working to make that happen. However, like and share our page, guys. We love you for supporting us, because we are on the forefront of bringing you good information, what's happening in the community. And we love the support that you all are giving us thus far. You all let us know that you do care. So if you care, share. Hello?
Share and share
Yes.
again.
Yeah, but
Share,
you know
share.
what? But during this holiday season, because God has been faithful and shown us how He really going to get this thing together. That's why I'm worried about it, because we already know we won. We win. We win.
We win.
Yes.
We
Yay.
win,
We
man.
have the victory.
We have the victory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so this holiday season, just stay true, stay safe, still wear your mask, people. It's still COVID going on. We got to deal with the pandemic. But
Yes.
look, we have a regime change. You know, there's a paradigm shift coming, and we already know what time it is. We need not worry about that. You know,
It's about to turn around.
it's time to turn around, and it's going to turn around despite of what, you know, all the naysayers and what they're trying to do. It's like, yeah, okay, go through the motion, because come January 2012 or 1 p.m. sayonara. You know,
Hit the road, Jack.
sit the road,
Who's
Jack.
going to an inauguration? Look, let's talk about the future. Who's going to the inauguration?
I would love to go. You
Inauguration
work
will
it
be
out.
in my
Work
house.
it out, Charlene. What'd you say? What'd you say?
Try. We're gonna
I
try.
said
That.
inauguration will be in my house. I'll get out my binoculars if I have to go. I won't be close to him at all.
Yeah.
It'll be-
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be a different inauguration. Unfortunately, I
Right.
don't think they're gonna have the same,
Mm-mm.
one. Like they probably would have with the other side would have done that, but I don't think they're gonna.
No.
My mayor is not going to let them come into this city.
I love it, my mayor. Oh, my mayor. Your
My
mayor is
mayor.
bad.
That's
Look, you
right.
can say, hey, Linda, you can say my mayor is better than
She
your
bad.
mayor.
She
She
bad.
is bad, better
Our
job.
numbers are still down, and we want them to stay down.
Stay down.
And I mean, ours is only maybe 100. But Virginia and Maryland, they're in like 1,000 plus. So yeah, we're trying to keep it. She's really holding us in. We never went past phase 2. I don't believe.
No,
And
we
so,
didn't.
yeah, so I feel the streets downtown are deserted, but we're keeping people in DC safe.
Yeah,
Bottom line.
absolutely. We're getting it. You know what I mean? So
We get
that's
it.
good. So I agree, Linda. We're keeping everyone safe as she is. You know, coming
Yeah.
together with, when we come together and be
Yes.
in agreement on the same page, we can get this thing done.
Yes.
So we're ahead of the game. I'm grateful, and I'm optimistic, and I'm hopeful and prayerful that we all will stay safe throughout this entire season,
Yes.
throughout the holiday season of Christmas and all into 2021. Guys, let's
Yes.
do this. Let's
Yes.
do this. Okay. Let's
Yeah.
make it happen. But speaking of Mayor, all things Black, we're going to stay in the Black. We're going to shop Black, during this
Yes.
holiday season. Support your
We
Black
want-
businesses this year,
Oh,
guys.
support them. Yes.
Support our Black, whoever's out there making it happen, because during this pandemic, people still need to survive. They're not giving us anything. They're not showing how they're going to be faithful and
Need
truthful
some
and
help,
helpful
Walls.
to us. We can't depend on the government, of course, to give
No.
us and do anything. So the pandemic during this time, let's shop in our Black, help our Black businesses, to make it happen. However, support Linda. She got the stuff. She got the goods. Linda, what's the name of your
She
product?
got the real goods.
She got the real
Drop,
goods
drop.
over
Yeah,
there.
we got the real good hemp oil by Prime My Body. I am an independent representative. My number 202-256-0176. I'm
Say
giving
it
you
again,
a
girl.
discount.
Say it again, girl.
202-256-0176. And if you want to
Absolutely.
email me, Linda Powell, Powell 24 at gmail.com. That's Linda Powell 24 at gmail.com. You get the discount on your hemp oil and all hemp products.
Brought to you by Four Sisters Live. Hello.
And we're
Get it
charging
in,
you $200 for that message. For that promo.
Okay.
It's already going to the. Oh, I'm just putting it in the machine. Okay.
I know that's right, girl.
Ching, ching.
But ching ching. But look, ladies, speaking of mayor, I would like us to take time out to honor and respectfully speak on the passing of the first Black mayor, only Black mayor of New York City, my hometown. Hello, I'm a native New Yorker. And it was Mayor David N. Dinkins. He was the man. He was a gentle giant. I think we have a picture of him, just to show his photo, a picture, of him, just to say and salute him for being such an awesome mayor of New York during his tenure of the time he did. And he happened to be one of the best. He was a no-nonsense man, but he was a Howard grad, and he was like a part of the other four political chiefs in charge, and Rankin, I believe Charles Rankin, and Percy, and another one, I can't think of his name, but they were all four, they were on the front line of the political forefront of all of it, man. So I just say, he lost his wife like a month ago, and they were together for last month. So I think he wanted to go home and go on and be on and be with the Lord with his wife.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mayor Dinkins, for all of your service, and you was the large in charge for that whole time. So speaking of the, being in the Black, staying in the Black, Peggy, you have an awesome show. Charlene, we talked about this some time ago in the summertime. We did on the Black Wall Street.
Absolutely. Tulsa's great. I mean, there's just history there. I'm super excited, for the guests that's coming on. I won't be a spoiler to it, but I hope they've seen the advertisements for Don and the rest of the crew that's coming along. I mean, this is an awesome lineup. It's everything that I live for. And we need to be, educated, and we need to know that fight is still going on. Like, people think just because Martin Luther King died and Lewis died and Cummings died, it just stops. But people are carrying the torch, and it's exciting to have these guests here today. Like, it's so exciting. So I'm like getting my paper out, like, well,
we're gonna get educated today. I know with some things we may be aware of, but we're gonna continue to keep this moving because we got to know our history. We don't know where we're going if we don't know where we came from. So we got to make it happen, and we got to continue our history, because I'm telling you, history is repeating itself. It's trying to, but we won't go back there because we can't.
It's trying. It's trying. It got some real fighters here. Like, we ain't doing it. Okay,
we're not going there.
You're gonna go out before I go out.
I know that's right. So I know we gotta maintain and stay on the wall about this and be very, very diligent about it. Peggy, who do we have though? We have some awesome guests, but I know we have Reverend Jamila. Is she there yet to speak
No,
on?
she has not arrived, so we're just going to push forward.
Okay, if
I
she
do,
comes, we'll put her in towards when they come or Sharon, but we definitely want
yeah.
to make sure that we give way and time to talk about this, the Black, the history of it. Who do we have that you want to bring? Because it's your day, baby. So go for it, girl.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm just so honored and be blessed to be around people that know some people,
That know some people.
that know some people. And one of our guests is Glenn Best, and Glenn is the executive director for the Black Entrepreneurship Hall of Fame in New Jersey. But before we bring him on, there's also my buddy and my buddy in crime, way back from Baltimore, is Donnie Glover. Donnie is the CEO of the DM Global and the Be More News in Baltimore City. Okay. And we also have Dr. Dale Caldwell. Now, he has a long title. I'm going to let him tell you his story, okay?
Yes,
But before we
long.
get started, let's talk to Amanda Chastang. She is also, she's a diversity director at the University of Tulsa, Oklahoma. So our topic today is going to be talking about the Black Wall Street. And if you don't know anything about the Black Wall Street, shame on you. But we got some folks that are well connected and going to take this opportunity just to share with us some information on the Black Wall Street. So let me bring in Amanda. Amanda, where are you? There you go.
There she
How
is.
are you?
Welcome.
Oh,
Welcome.
Welcome,
Yes.
Amanda.
thank you
Thank you for
guys.
joining us.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's a true honor and a true privilege. So thank you.
Well, come on, take a moment before we show the video. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you. Go ahead. You
Yes.
can go
Well,
right ahead.
hello everyone. Good afternoon. As Miss Peggy, yes, as Miss Peggy mentioned, my name is Amanda Chastang. I am the diversity officer for the University of Tulsa here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it has just been a true honor to be invited here to talk with you guys and provide some history on the Greenwood District and Black Wall Street. So I think there's a quick video to provide a little bit of context before I start.
Okay, there we are.
You know, they call it the catastrophe because we feel like it wasn't a riot. We didn't. We were not the perpetrators. We were the victims. But it took 80 years to get the state of Oklahoma to acknowledge that.
The Tulsa Race Massacre is believed to be one of the worst incidents of racial violence in American history. From May 31st to June 1st in 1921, as many as 300 people were killed, hundreds were injured, and thousands of buildings were destroyed.
On June 1st, they began to systematically destroy neighborhoods. And they had airplanes dropping things down on people's houses, and they had made up their minds to clear the entire area of Black people.
It started after a newspaper reported a black man tried to sexually assault a white woman. Though it's still uncertain what exactly happened, many did not believe that story. The Oklahoma Historical Society said the most common explanation is Dick Rollins stepped on Sarah Page's foot when he entered the elevator, causing her to scream. A group of armed black men went to the courthouse to offer help protecting Rollins once they heard talks of lynching. A crowd of white men was also on the scene. A shot was fired and the riots began.
My parents were very distressed because here they are with 5 kids, and the schools had been. I went to Dunbar School, and that was reduced to just rubble. I mean, they blew it up.
Crowds of white rioters went to the Greenwood District, known as Black Wall Street. It was home to an affluent African-American community with banks, hotels, theaters, and new homes.
They took my 8-year-old brother too, where they were holding all the black men. And we didn't know because we lived on one side of town and they lived on the other. We thought they were locking up the non-blacks too. But it so happened that it didn't occur that way. What they did was to disarm and lock up all black men. And then they said to the mob, there's nothing out there now but women and children. So you can do whatever you want to do. And that was when the real terrible things started to happen.
It ended when the city was placed under martial law and National Guard troops were deployed. But Black Wall Street was devastated. Survivors never received compensation for what they lost.
Wow.
Yes.
Terrible.
It is a very, very important history. So I just want to thank you all again for taking the time to really discuss this. I've been doing this work for really all my life, but some more professionally about 4 years now. Here. So the University of Tulsa's campus, am I paused? Okay, there we go. So the University of Tulsa campus sits just a few miles away from the Greenwood District, also known as Black Wall Street, which was the location of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. But prior to the massacre, Black Wall Street was a vibrant and successful community built by Black people for Black people. And as the video mentioned, Black Wall Street had over 300 Black-owned businesses, including, banks, grocery stores, pool halls, movie theaters, hotels, doctors, and lawyers' offices. And they even had their own school system. And so the increasing wealth and success of Black Wall Street was just a true manifestation, really, of Black inventions, entrepreneurship, and culture. But as Black Wall Street continued to thrive, many in the local white community became resentful. And this tension really ultimately resulted in the destruction of the area. So I've heard a few small variations of the exact events that led up to the massacre. But really the massacre was the result of Dick Rowland, a Black teenager. I believe he was 19 at the time. He was also a shoe shine boy, but he was headed to the bathroom. And he entered an elevator where Sarah Page, a white teenage girl about 17 years old, was the elevator operator. And so when Rowland entered the elevator, either he tripped over her foot or something in the elevator itself. And in the process of falling, he fell towards Page unintentionally. But when this happened, Page screamed, and then a nearby store clerk basically heard and called the police. And so from that, rumors began to spread that Rowland tried to sexually assault and actually rape Page. And so Rowland was arrested the following day, which was on May 31st, 1921. And the Tulsa Tribune, which was the local newspaper, actually published the paper with the headline, "Nab Negro for Attacking Girl in Elevator." Front page, front and center there. But the paper went on to state that Rowland had attacked Page and actually tore her clothes off. And so once this news began to spread and the white community found out that officers had basically took Rowland to the courthouse in the area, this large, group of basically an armed crowd began to gather, and then rumors of a lynching spread to the Black community of Greenwood. And so actually many of the men in Greenwood, they were armed veterans. And so they kind of, once the news reached them, they gathered up their arms to go and actually protect Rowland from those who had gathered in front of the courthouse and hopefully prevent this lynching that was said to have, been planned. But when the men arrived, or the men from Greenwood arrived there, there was some kind of altercation between a black man and a white man. And then during that altercation, one of the guns went off. And there was just complete chaos from then on. And that actually led into I think for 16 hours, actually, which led to the destruction of Greenwood. And so over 35 city blocks and over 200,000 homes were destroyed. Sorry, 1,200,000 homes were destroyed, excuse me. But, even though the race massacre, as the video had actually stated, the race massacre was one of the worst incidents of racial violence in American history. People were not taught this history. And it was really only the last couple of years that this history has started to be acknowledged on a national stage. But I do want to be clear here and just say that not incorporating the massacre into history books, that was not a mistake. It was strategic and it was intentional. And so even the original death toll was under-recorded, which I believe they originally reported around 37 deaths. Was actually more than 150. And so the city of Tulsa is currently performing various excavations that have actually led to identifying mass grave sites and those who were actually killed during the massacre almost 100 years ago. And so actually one of our TU professors, Dr. Alicia Adewale, is spearheading a lot of these excavations and actually doing a lot of research on this area to make sure this history is not forgotten. And then as we reach the centennial of the massacre this May, there have been and will continue to be various events and program opportunities in the Tulsa area to make sure that we commemorate and just not forget the massacre happened. And so, for example, at the university, we have had various guest speakers. We've made sure to implement this history within various class course materials. And we actually dedicated a portion of our homecoming this year to educate others about this history. We also this year started an annual Black Wall Street commemorative football game to ensure that there is widespread exposure. Another program that I'm actually really looking forward to and hope to have in the spring is actually our jazz students recently submitted a grant to work with a national musician to compose a work to really illustrate and mirror just like the feelings of angst and fear and confusion and really just anger through jazz. And so really hoping that event comes through in the spring. But also I cannot fail to mention, our newly partnership with the Black Tennis Hall of Fame, the Black Entrepreneurship Hall of Fame, and the Black Inventors Hall of Fame to put on a monthly series dedicated to the spirit of entrepreneurship and inventors of Black Wall Street, and really just promote, the current and future minority leaders in this field. And I think Dr. Caldwell and Glenn Best will be talking about that a little bit later today.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
This is some, wonderful information that you've shared today. It's a wow factor, if you will.
Yes.
We see that it's no coincidence to me that we're doing this. Current administration looked at this, and now we can see why we're pretty much at this position that we're in, that is trying to come back. Mm-hmm. And this is why we fought so hard about not going back there. We had to do a regime change in terms of this administration. It had to happen, and I'm glad it happened, because telling this story right here, if we don't be careful, we'll repeat it again, because there's some mad people out there and they still angry, Amanda. We have to be clear, they're still angry. And if we don't be careful to stay on top of this and do what we need to do, it can come back and repeat itself. And that's something we have to not let happen. So thank you for sharing all of this information, you know. Charlene, did you want to say something?
Thank you, Amanda. Yeah, actually, Amanda, thank you for sharing the data, because it was something I've been concerned about. Like, I know the massive murders that happened there. There had to be more people that were murdered, but where is the data for that? And there were other people inside of in the community stating that people are missing. You know, my mother, my cousin is so missing. And to hear that come from you and other historians, it means a lot that someone is doing something about it. So thank you for educating us and keeping us informed.
Yes, indeed. Beautiful. Well, let me do this. Linda, did you have a question for Amanda?
Are there any events that's coming up that nationally that we should know about? Any programming that's coming on television or anything of that nature that we can let our audience know about?
Well, you know, I obviously can't take credit for this, but I think just the history really kind of came out and brought attention to Tulsa with the new, you know, series of Watchmen. And so if you have not seen that, I will definitely highly recommend that you watch that. I think that has really kind of got the attention on Tulsa and really making sure that we talk about this history and really what happened. But as far as what we are doing, and again, I think Dale and Glenn will be talking about this a little bit later, but we will have an event that's open to everyone on December 16th. We will have our second event in our ongoing series up until May. And so I think we can, once it gets closer to December 16th, we'll provide that link to you all to spread out to your networks. But definitely tune in. We have a great guest speaker. But really, I think we really want to make sure that Black Wall Street still thrives.
Yes.
You know, it's still a community that's ongoing right now, and making sure that we support, you know, the current Black businesses that are on Black Wall Street, but also the future of Black Wall Street.
Yes.
And so this is really what this series aims to do.
Thank you.
Well, Amanda, thank you so much. I really want to thank Glenn Best for actually introducing me to you. We had an opportunity to talk, I think last week, and you brought so much to the table. So let me do this. Let me bring Glenn in, Glenn Best, and also I want him to bring in Dr. Dale Caldwell. Okay, where's my Glenn? Come on, Glenn. There you go.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome.
There's Dr. Dale Caldwell. Go ahead, Glenn. Introduce yourself, and then let's Dr. Caldwell introduce himself.
So it's wonderful to be amongst this phenomenal group, and thank you all for allowing us to have a moment to talk about the Black Entrepreneurship Hall of Fame, as well as the efforts of University of Tulsa and around Black Wall Street commemoration. I am the executive director for the Black Entrepreneurship Hall of Fame, and I have to give kudos to Amanda, who was the person I reached out to at the university to engage discussions around a partnership, and after several conversations with her and with our team, she graciously presented that information to her higher ups, the president of the university, and they gracefully agreed to partner with us. So thank you. But before I talk a little bit more about the Black Entrepreneurship Hall of Fame, I'd like to have Dr. Dale Caldwell, introduce himself, because this was actually part of his vision. He established the Black Tennis Hall of Fame over a decade ago, but recognized recently, especially in lieu of some of the things that have been happening this past year, that there was also a need for us to recognize some other spaces of contributions that Blacks have made, and he established the Black Inventors Hall of Fame and the Black Entrepreneurship Hall of Fame. And so I'll let you share a little bit about how that came about, Dale.
Yes, come on, Dale.
Unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself.
I didn't want to make it. It's an honor to be here for the show, and thank you, Glenn. And then I'll be brief. One, to connect with my friend who just passed away, Mayor David Dinkins. I was very active in tennis. I was on the board of the United States Tennis Association, the first Black president of the United States Tennis Association Eastern Section. Mayor Dinkins retired from the board. I had an opportunity to take his seat, so I got to know him over the years. And he was not only a great mayor, but a great historian. And he helped to inspire me to start this thing called the Black Tennis Hall of Fame. And the reality is that people don't realize Black tennis has been in the Black community for over 100 years. And unfortunately, Black folk were denied the opportunity to play in tennis. So I started this Hall of Fame to really celebrate people who were overlooked because of their race. And so then, and this organization has become actually very, very popular. It was founded in 2008. And then in talking to Glenn and Michelle Obama's brother, Craig Robinson, organized an event at Princeton. I went to Princeton undergrad for Black alumni. And they asked me, as a professor at Fairleigh Dickinson University running an entrepreneurial institute, to do research on Black entrepreneurship history. And I had heard about Black Wall Street and Greenwood, but the more I did this, the more I realized that it's important for us to understand how we have been hurt in history. But it's also equally important to celebrate those people who've risen above that. And so I started the Black Entrepreneurship Hall of Fame and the Black Inventors Hall of Fame. And I've known Glenn for a number of years. He's one of the most capable people I know. And I asked Glenn if he'd be interested to be the executive director, and he's taken it and run with it. There's a guy named James Howard, who's the executive director of the Inventors Hall of Fame. And the more we do this, the more we get into history of extraordinary people that nobody knows about in entrepreneurship and inventions. And so, and then we've connected with Amanda and News vs. Tulsa. And so we are looking in May 30th, write this down, May 30th, that Sunday, we are going to have a major event in Tulsa, really, really recognizing the past, but also celebrating the future. So with that, I'll turn it over to Glenn.
Thank you, Dale.
Awesome.
And that was a great segue because we're planning to have our first induction ceremony of our Black Entrepreneurship Hall of Fame, as well as the Black Inventors Hall of Fame in Tulsa. If things work out, it'll be on the University of Tulsa campus. But should the pandemic continue, we'll probably have it at one of the local hotels there in Tulsa. But again, it was deliberate about us reaching out and connecting with Amanda, because one of the things that we thought was very important was to show the linkage between what we were doing, and in this 100th commemoration was very, very critical. As Amanda has already stated, there's so much information that has been, I say, repressed in terms of our history books. Many of us, some of us knew about Greenwood, and there are other communities like this around the country that have had similar experiences. So one of the things that we hope to accomplish as the Black Entrepreneurship Hall of Fame is not only to recognize those past incidents and celebrate those accomplishments that preceded that, but to also inspire a new generation of entrepreneurs. Because by showcasing and celebrating the accomplishments of those that have preceded us, we also show a pathway for where do we go from here. So there's a whole spectrum that we would like to engage in communities. And also part of that is working with organizations such as Sisters for Sisters Network to share that information, to get the word out, because there are so many organizations like yours that are on the forefront of working with Black entrepreneurs in your areas around, both in Maryland and around the country. So we have to connect those strands, those linkages across the country. And that's part of the vision that we have for the Black Entrepreneurship Hall of Fame, and likewise for the Black Inventors Hall of Fame. And I think as you continue to participate and hear some of the programs, Amanda referenced the speaker series that we have each month. We're having a speakers series with the University of Tulsa featuring a Black entrepreneur and a Black inventor. So we kicked off the event in October. We have one coming up in December that Amanda just referenced, and we'll be sending out information about that event as they finish their marketing piece for that. And I think you will be very interested and impressed with the speakers that we're inviting. We have a couple of other speakers lined up for in the new year. So we'll be keeping everyone apprised of that. And so we invite you to join us for those discussions as we reached out to our potential speakers and we shared exactly what we're sharing with everyone here today. The more we talked about it, they all bought in and said, hey, we want to be a part of that. We want to see what we can do to participate and share and contribute towards this effort and uplifting our Black entrepreneurs, our Black inventors, our Black community. And then even thinking beyond that, how do we collaborate to continue to expand that? So that's a lot of what the Black Entrepreneurship Hall of Fame is about. And I think that through these efforts, we can start to build some capacity to really expand and open our eyes for other opportunities that may present themselves. So I'd like to thank Peggy for allowing us a few minutes to share with everyone some of the work that we're doing. We also hope to have one other thing that I didn't mention. We talked about the next generation of Black entrepreneurs and Black inventors. So we're having some youth challenges, the Youth Innovation Challenge event for the Black inventors, and we're having a Black Entrepreneurship Youth Challenge for the Black Entrepreneurship Hall of Fame. And we hope to bring the students who win this competition to Tulsa to feature them at our induction ceremony. So that's where all these things tie in together. It's about the past, and we said we're celebrating Black excellence. That's the name of our panel series. We're celebrating Black excellence of the past, the present, and our future. So with that,
let me add one thing to that before. So in the future, as in my role as a professor, one of the things is to come up with new policies. And so many of you may have heard the opportunity zones that the Trump administration has put together, which have really accelerated gentrification. So we've actually written papers around creating entrepreneur zones. And these are in the urban sections where most of our Black businesses are, where there will be tax breaks for funding going into our community. So you'll hear more about these entrepreneur zones. We're trying to push the Biden administration to do that. So it's really about the past, the present, and our future, and really turning around our community. So we're all involved at these levels. So we're just, again, honored to be here.
Wow, this is so beautiful. Now, let me do one thing. I have to bring in my buddy from Baltimore. You know, that's my hometown. And Donnie Glover. Let me bring Donnie in. Come on, Donnie. Where are you? There you go. Hey, Donnie. Donnie and I, years ago, and I guess we talked about earlier, 9 years ago, we did a Black Wall Street here in Baltimore, the DMV area, and it was simply amazing. I want Donnie to take some time to talk about where he got the vision to do this and what's going on with the new Black Wall Street in Baltimore. Come on, Donnie.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Donnie Glover, publisher of BeMoreNews.com, also HarlemBusinessJournal.com. My media firm is DM Global. We work with with businesses, with politicians, most of the time Black people, and helping them to get the same exposure that we use on a regular basis. Wanted to say a couple of things. One, particularly with a new presidential administration, and I heard the professor allude to the policies in terms of pushing a Black entrepreneurship or an entrepreneurship zone. I should mention that I've been working also with the Black Business Empowerment Commission in New York City, up in Harlem. And one thing that we've reiterated over and over again is that we are not minorities, we are Black. And the reason is, when they first came up with the federal 8A program for Black businesses back during the tenure of Perrin J. Mitchell here in Maryland, congressman. Since then, we have been blurred. We are just a speck in this whole concept of minority business. And so we have found it imperative that we refer to ourselves as Black businesses and that we promote Black businesses, not minority. Because one, I'm not a minority. I'm a Black man who happens to live in America, as are you Black. But internationally, we're not a minority. If anybody's a minority, it is white people. Number two, also out there in Tulsa, there's a lawyer In addition to what Amanda shared with us, his name is Demario Solomon Simmons, who's working on a lawsuit to help bring reparations to those families and entities that were disaffected back in 1921. And it also reminds me of a couple of people who are already doing some work. One is Killer Mike. He's pushing a bank, a Greenwood bank. You can look it up online. Also, a young man out of Atlanta, a developer, Jay Morrison, is working to help reestablish Tulsa's Black Wall Street. What I would like to share is that in addition, so beyond Tulsa, and that's my thing, how does Tulsa's Black Wall Street, how does Tulsa's Greenwood section relate to the rest of us around the country? What's the significance? And part of the significance, a lot of people don't notice, is that Tulsa is one of 3 Black Wall Streets in the country. The other 2 being in Durham, and the anchor institution there in Durham was and is North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance Company. And then also there's one in Richmond, in Jackson Ward. And every Black woman ought to know who the famous woman was in Jackson Ward. Her name was Maggie Lena Walker, and she was only the first woman to open or to charter a bank in the United States. So make sure all of you know about Maggie Lena Walker, because she was one bad hombre, the first woman of any race to charter a bank. And further research has shown me that there were Black Wall Streets all over the country, including one in Brooklyn, established by James Weeks in 1835. It's right now, we actually did a Black Wall Street Awards there at the Weeksville Heritage Center. That was 1835. In 1828, there was a independent Black community in what is now Central Park. It was gentrified. I heard that word used earlier by the professor. Roughly between 82nd and 89th Street in Manhattan. As well, there were independent Black communities with their own businesses all over the country, including Rosewood down in Florida. Florida is a very interesting animal as it relates to this. In Chicago, it was called Bronzeville. In Detroit, they had a section called Black Bottom. Here in Baltimore, Pennsylvania Avenue. In Washington, D.C., 14th and U. In Birmingham, I believe it was 4th Avenue, made popular by A.G. Gaston, a millionaire. In Atlanta, it was, of course, Auburn Avenue, down where Ebenezer Baptist Church is. I would encourage you to get the book by Shamari Wills on Black Fortunes. In that particular book, he brings out a piece of history that's very relevant, not only just to Tulsa, but to all of us across the country. And one of the person of interest that I'm alluding to is Robert Reed Church. Robert Reed Church, for those who may not know, was the richest Black man in America. Robert Reed Church. So you certainly want to look him up. And he spent $10,000 of his own money, roughly around 1907, to send Black people from the Deep South, including his hometown of Memphis, send them to Oklahoma. And there were others, including his homeboy there in Memphis named Pap Singleton, and his compadre down in New Orleans named Henry Adams, who sent Blacks to Kansas. So remember, there was a time when Oklahoma was just Indian territory. And it was only after after the Civil War that Oklahoma became established, and where Blacks and whites went to Oklahoma for opportunity. And of course, it was easier for the whites. They were giving away land, 1889 land grab. And so what unfolded is a lot of history. But what I want to tell you more than anything, don't believe anything anybody tells you. Research for yourself. If you let American history books and white people attempt to tell you your history, you will be written out. You will be lost. You will be ignored. You will not be in the topic of conversation as the educated, brilliant, conscientious people that you are. You'll be following some person's story who didn't even know all of the facts. And I can tell you, if there's one thing I want you to remember as it relates to Tulsa and Oklahoma overall, please look up the story of Chief John Horse. As we all know, the Trail of Tears ended in Oklahoma. It came out of Florida. after the Second Seminole War. And that's when your general, Andrew Jackson, on the $20 bill, had invaded Florida. Now, one last piece of information. There was a time when Florida was not a part of the United States. It was a Spanish colony. And escaped slaves went to Florida. And so did Indians who had gotten chased away by the settlers. Andrew Jackson went into Florida as a general trying to eradicate the Indians, the Seminoles, as well as the freed and escaped black slaves. But there was a black man that emerged, and that was what I was looking for. As I read about Greenwood and Tulsa and all that, I wanted to know who was the hero. And I'm here to tell you there was a black man named Chief John Horse. Chief John Horse was one bad hombre. Not only was he killing white people down there in Florida in the Seminole Wars, which was really a slave insurrection, he then went to Oklahoma because they promised him his freedom. So he went on the Trail of Tears. And here's another thing. They always tell you that the blacks on the Trail of Tears were all slaves. Not true. Some of those blacks were free because they'd been fighting the white people down there in Florida. So they got to Oklahoma. They promised John Horse his freedom. They lied. A year later, they told him he did not have his freedom. He then took 200 black families and went to Mexico and established a town there called Nacimiento, Mexico. After some time, the Mexicans got new on him, and then he moved back to Texas and established a town there. And so underlying theme is that our black soldiers, our black veterans were the real leaders of the business movement that went on to be Black Wall Street. After every war, the Revolutionary War, we fought for our freedom in the North. They eradicated slavery 1804 in the North. The South took much longer, 1865 with the Emancipation Proclamation. But every time we tried to move, every time there was a war, we fought, and we fought to get our freedom. But after we got our freedom, when they brought in Jim Crow, the establishment of the Klan in 1864, each time we had to fight for our citizenship as well as for opportunities. Thank you for letting me share.
Nice.
Wow, this is powerful. Very, very powerful. Thank you so much, Glenn, because a lot of our people may not know of all of this information, but if they didn't know, they know today. We're going to share this information literally because as we know, when you talked about it, Mr. Bose, about our kids and our youth and what are you all doing with the Hall of Fame entrepreneurs coming up for the event coming up, our youth really need to be involved because they're not teaching this in the schools.
It's not their job. It's our job.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not.
Right.
So thank you guys. Peggy, this has been awesome. I don't know what else to say because there's so much we can't say.
Let me add just one thing because
as usual, Donnie always drops the mic.
Yes, drop the mic. Absolutely.
That is amazing history. And so one of the things we've learned too about the Black Inventors Hall of Fame is how many Black people did extraordinary things even in the midst of slavery. And I'll just leave one. There was a slave named Onesimus that actually invented the cure to smallpox. The only virus has been eradicated. So as we sit here in COVID, a Black slave got rid of one of the only viruses ever gotten rid of. And you start looking at the history, you are so right. We've got to do our own research. But thank you for that history. I learned a lot, and I love this.
Yeah. We've been in a COVID pandemic for a long time, right?
You know, I must say, guys, we must do a part 2 on this. It's unbelievable the amount of information that we're not getting. Okay. And it's individuals like us that are transforming this information so that our young kids can understand exactly the history behind the Black Wall Street. So Donnie, Glenn, Dr. Caldwell, Amanda, we definitely going to have part 2 on this, and we're going to keep you posted.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming.
No, thank you so much for having us. But like you said, there's so much history out there. It's really interconnected and really interesting once you kind of get down to who was doing what, you know, especially with the land. Land is super important. here in Oklahoma. And as was mentioned a little bit, just like that interconnectedness of, Blacks and Natives, but, the history of the freedmen. So actually, Black Natives, is special to me because that's my family. But again, once you get through that history, do your own research.
Yeah.
You've got to learn. But
we
yeah,
thank
you so much for
Trust
having
me.
us today.
Well, let's see. We're waiting for our lady of the hour, Dr. Gina Bell. Let's bring
Yeah.
Gina in. She's going to close out the show for us. Hold on.
Do your own research. You've got to
There
learn.
she is.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Well,
Yeah. Hey, Gina.
For our lady of the hour, Dr. Gina Bell. Let's bring Gina in. She's going to close out the show for us. Hold on.
Do your own research.
There she is.
I'm
Hi,
here.
everybody. How are you?
Go ahead, Gina.
Hold on. Let me turn off the.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Let's bring
Turn it off.
There you go. Okay, I'm back. I was listening to the show on Facebook. So let me just say to the guests, you guys are awesome. You're powerful and even though I was familiar with it, I've done a little more research, and hearing you today has been both inspirational as well as informative. So I'm going to bring to you the power of 10, and I've just made some adjustments based upon your conversation because I think we have to say this. And that is, when I talk about the power of 10, I'm talking about how we can change our lives by changing our thinking. And one of the things that I think about on Black entrepreneurship, that it's an opportunity to restore, renew, and reimagine. Reimagine that's possible. Secondly, it's about why we must not be dismayed when we watch our history. We have to be inspired because there are so many messages that are in the mess of the history that they've tried to keep us from. So it is now time for us to unthink the unthinkable, because what we have been taught has not been all that there is to the story. So the story still is yet to be told. And we are now the storytellers, and we must be the story doers. So my power of 10 today is around Black entrepreneurship, and it's about Greenwood, and it's about Tulsa. It's about Richmond, Virginia, Durham, and Brooklyn, because it is up to us to continue what our ancestors started. So let me just say this. I do have 10 thoughts today, and my thoughts are labeled today. It's the message from the mess, and it's up to us to know the message and know the lessons and then apply them. So let me just run through this. Number one, what man displaces, God replaces, but with greater vengeance and greater opportunity. Secondly, today in 2020, the Black woman represents a formidable force in the 2020 election. So once denied is now the woman that's relied upon. The Black woman also represents the fastest growing segment of entrepreneurship. So she's going from necessity to now what is necessary. Number 4, the Black dollar, the spending power, represents trillions in today's numbers. When we combine it, we can outstrip Black Wall Street to create our own Black cyber highway. Number 5, while buildings and neighborhoods have been destroyed and gone up in smoke, the spirit of the African or the African American, no matter where we are in this continent, has never been destroyed. We have been mobilized, and we now expand our efforts from country to country to continent, even in the face of hardship. Number 6, the spirit of the African American is undeniable and is stronger today than it was even then. We can build, we can rebuild, and we can replace, but we must always first imagine, reimagine, and redesign all that's possible. Number 8, the Black dollar at one time during The time of Greenwood circulated 36 to 100 times in the community. Now it's less than 24 hours. So we must now reimagine the circulation power of trillions of dollars in our community. Number 9, where we once relied upon the brick and mortar for our businesses, we now have to rely upon our mind, our spirit, our will, our ingenuity, our connectivity, our information, our education, and innovation. And nobody can destroy those. So we have a foundation that is immovable. And lastly, and I'll close with this, is today, from Tulsa to Tuscany, from continent to continent, the Black cyber street that we can create can flourish even in the midst of COVID. And even now, if we simply take the time to reimagine and coalesce around the new possibilities. So all the work that you guys are doing to educate and to create the Black intelligence and to create the new awards and all of these things are so powerful because history informs. And when we can inform our mind, our brain, and take action, we become another formidable group of individuals. So I want to thank you. I'm Dr. Gina Bell, and I am here to empower the thoughts because I believe that we can still do it. So let the history now, we can retell the story. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Gina. As always, we appreciate you. Yes. Wow, Peggy, this has been a great show today. You know, our time is always well spent. So thank you all for coming. We want you all to have a safe and happy and wonderful holiday. And we will be back.
I got to get one thing in too.
We shall.
One thing, the Black woman controls much of that $1.4 trillion. So as we going into this Christmas season, y'all got to lead the way on us supporting Black businesses.
That's right.
No, that's what we said. That's what we said earlier. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Gina.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank
Woo!
you.
Look, this has been
incredible.
Awesome.
Oh my God, this has been
Absolutely
great.
awesome.
Absolutely awesome day. And guess you know, we have so many other things going on. You know, our sisters are doing like Jamila Woods. I think she has something coming up on Monday. Do you have that, Peggy, right quick?
I sure do. Yes.
Right quick. And then Charlene has something, I think, to say about what's coming. I don't know. Sharon's had something.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be great. We wanted Jamila to be on to talk about this. This is going to be a powerful discussion. And you all need to, of course, when you come back and repeat to see this show, get this information for Monday, November the 30th. Reverend Jamila Woods is having this conversation. It's powerful. You know, we're talking all things Black, definitely. So she's going to have a huge conversation.
That is huge.
Yeah, this is huge. I want to be a part of this. And then, okay, Peggy, do we have something that Sharon is sharing about her book?
Yes, I was hoping that Sharon was here to share this piece of artwork. This is artwork, guys. This is her masterpiece that she's been working on for a while, Embracing My Sexy 60s. And I'm honored to be part of this project. She will be into this one.
All right. Sexy 60s.
Sexy sis.
Proud of you, Peggy, for taking that jump.
I know. I bet you can't say sexy sisters. Sexy sis. I can't even say it. Sexy 60s sisters. Sexy chocolate, all right. But anyway, we've had a great day.
Charlene, I understand that you're going to be doing the book launch, which is scheduled for December 9th and 10th at 7 o'clock. You want to share a little bit about it?
Oh, yeah. So you had these wonderful Sexy 60 women that's going to be showing up and sharing their part in the book, a little bit why they are participating. with Sharon to just share. Like, I am 60 and I'm proud of it. That, you know,
That's right.
I'm not your great grandma 60, honey. And they're gonna
No,
know all
baby.
about it, honey. And I'm gonna be so excited because I look forward to being 60. Because guess what? 60 is the new 50. 50 is the new 40. But guess what? We really feel like we're 20 years, you know, behind our time because we feel good, we look good, and we are
Yes.
good. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
look forward to you know, helping her host that event and shine, help those women to shine.
Shine,
So
shine,
I'm proud
shine.
of Sharon.
Yes.
I'm so proud of the other women that have participated in this book. It has
Yes.
been a long time coming. So
That's
Yeah.
awesome. We're going to talk more about that as well.
Yes.
Look, we have some other people that we need to shout out, like happy birthdays. We didn't get that out. So all of y'all who's celebrating a birthday, happy birthday to all of y'all guys out
Happy
there.
birthday.
Continue to enjoy.
Yes.
And also, we want to say happy anniversary to us. Us four. We are the
That's
four
right.
sisters live. And our anniversary was right here. It started with us. It's going to continue to end with us. Happy anniversary, us.
happy
Yes.
anniversary! Guys. I want
Yes.
to know how
Yes.
appropriate.
I know, right? So this is all good. And another history making, I'm going to close with this. There's a fight tonight, and that's a history.
What?
Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. is fighting tonight.
Kidding.
That's a history right there, y'all. That's Black history.
That's history.
That's history.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
yes.
I can't be over somebody's house. It's not
I gotta find somebody's house to go over. Yes. Anybody got a party? Tell me about it.
I'm sorry, but I used to want to go, but oh god, I love seeing Mike Tyson in those two fights. So this is going to be good.
Somebody gonna get knocked
Oh,
out.
my two favorite.
Oh my
goodness.
God, I love
Oh, my
some Roy
goodness.
Jones. Oh, no, we'll be on here another hour because I love Roy Jones. But anyway, we're gonna look at that.
Tyson.
I know. Anyways, but our time has been well spent, ladies. We love you. Love you all for watching. Thank you guys who have been supporting us. Share. And we will continue to bring you good information always. This is our motto that we want to do. This is our purpose and our drive because you guys are always here for us. We thank you. So what time is it? It's time for you to walk in your purpose and prosperity. Take us out, Dante. Come on, Peggy. Let's take us out. Woo!
Come on, Dante.
Sound.
Always friends. Let's stay real close till the end. Forgiving each other, letting love cover. Always sisters, always friends. We have to live in harmony, even though we may disagree. Inspiring each other is not the answer.
I would love to have my main first.